Savitri Devi had lived in the same narrow lane on the outskirts of Hyderabad for more than 50 years. The small house with fading blue walls and a wooden gate was not impressive to outsiders, but to her it held an entire lifetime. Every crack in the wall carried a memory. The mango tree in the courtyard had been planted the day her son was born. The kitchen window still faced the same dusty road where she once waited for her husband to return from the fields each evening. After he passed away, the silence of the house deepened, but Savitri stayed. She believed that as long as she protected the home, she was protecting her family's history. Her only son, Ramesh, had always been ambitious. As a boy, he spoke of big buildings and city lights. As a man, he moved to Mumbai to chase those dreams. In the beginning, he called often. He sent small amounts of money and promised to bring her to the city one day. But over time, the calls became shorter, then rarer. Savitri told herself that he was busy. She never complained. One summer afternoon, Ramesh returned unexpectedly. He arrived with polished shoes, a pressed shirt, and a confidence that felt unfamiliar. He spoke quickly about investments and business opportunities. He said he needed her signature on some documents so he could use the property as security for a loan. "It will help us grow, Amma," he assured her. "Everything I do is for you." Savitri could not read English well, and her eyesight had weakened with age. She trusted her son completely. When he placed the papers before her, she signed where he pointed. She felt proud that she could still help him. Weeks later, strangers began visiting the house. They walked around the courtyard measuring walls and discussing renovations. Confused, Savitri asked one of them why they were so interested. The answer made her heart pound. The house had been sold. The land was no longer hers. She waited for Ramesh to return, but he did not. When she finally reached him by phone, his voice was distant. He said it was necessary. He said she would understand later. Then the line went dead. A legal notice arrived soon after. She had 30 days to vacate the property. The neighbors whispered. Some pitied her. Some blamed her for trusting too easily. At night, Savitri sat under the mango tree, staring at the sky. The betrayal hurt more than the loss of the house. She had given her son everything: education, food from her own plate, the security of a loving home. Now she was being treated like an obstacle. But something inside her refused to break. She remembered her husband's words. "When you know you are right, never bow your head." The next morning, she folded the notice carefully and placed it in her old steel cupboard. Instead of crying, she began asking questions. Who prepared the documents? Where was the sale registered? Had she truly agreed to sell, or had she been misled? With the help of a young schoolteacher who lived nearby, Savitri traveled by bus into the busy streets of Hyderabad. The city felt overwhelming, but she walked steadily into a legal aid office. She explained everything in a calm voice. The lawyers listened carefully. As they examined the paperwork, their expressions changed. There were inconsistencies. The transfer had been executed quickly. There was no clear evidence that the terms had been explained to her in a language she understood. For the first time since the betrayal, Savitri felt a small spark of hope. The legal process was not easy. She had to recount painful details repeatedly. She gathered medical records proving her poor eyesight. Neighbors provided statements confirming that she believed she was signing loan papers, not a sale agreement. Each document felt like a brick rebuilding the foundation that had been shaken. Ramesh avoided her calls. Rumors spread that he was struggling financially in Mumbai. Some relatives urged Savitri to withdraw the case to protect the family name. They said a mother should forgive silently. But Savitri believed forgiveness without accountability would only encourage injustice. Court hearings began months later. The courtroom was intimidating, filled with unfamiliar procedures and stern faces. Savitri wore her simplest cotton sari and carried a small cloth bag with her documents. She listened as lawyers argued over technicalities. Her son appeared briefly, avoiding her eyes. The judge examined whether true consent had been given. Questions were raised about her understanding of the transaction. Witnesses testified that Ramesh had promised the property was only collateral. Bank records suggested financial pressure that may have motivated the sale. Each hearing tested her patience. Travel was tiring and the emotional strain was heavy. yet she never missed a date. She believed that showing up was part of her strength. Sometimes she sat quietly in the courtroom corridor, watching other families fight their own battles. She realized she was not alone in facing betrayal. When the final judgment day arrived, Savitri's hands trembled slightly. The courtroom was silent as the decision was read. The transfer was declared invalid due to misrepresentation and lack of informed consent. The sale was cancelled. Ownership of the house and land was restored to her name. Further investigation into fraudulent conduct was ordered. A wave of relief washed over her, but she remained composed. She did not look toward her son. She simply closed her eyes and thanked the strength that had carried her this far. News of the verdict spread quickly through the village. People who once doubted her now praised her courage. The buyers withdrew peacefully, respecting the court's order. The mango tree in her courtyard seemed to stand taller again. Yet Savitri understood that true success was not only about winning property back. It was about reclaiming dignity. She chose not to speak harshly about her son in public. Instead, she focused on rebuilding her life. In the months that followed, she made a surprising decision. She converted part of her land into a small open-air learning space for children whose families could not afford extra tutoring. With help from volunteers and local teachers, evening classes began under the shade of the mango tree. She provided water, simple snacks, and encouragement. She told the children that education was not just about jobs, it was about making wise choices. Some asked why she did not leave everything to her son after what happened. She replied gently that love and responsibility must walk together. She updated her will carefully, ensuring that her property would support both her family and community welfare. Over time, her story inspired others in Hyderabad and beyond. Local groups invited her to speak about legal awareness for senior citizens. She emphasized reading documents carefully, seeking independent advice, and never signing under pressure. Her voice was steady, filled not with bitterness but with clarity. Years passed and the house remained standing, its blue walls freshly painted. The mango tree continued to bear fruit each summer. Savitri often watched the children studying in her courtyard and felt a quiet satisfaction. The pain of betrayal had transformed into purpose. Her revenge had not been loud or destructive. It had been patient, lawful, and rooted in self-respect. By choosing courage over despair, she protected not only her home, but also her identity. And in doing so, she became a symbol of strength for many who believed age meant weakness. Savitri Devi's journey proved that even when trust is broken, dignity can be restored. Justice, pursued with determination and integrity, can light the way forward.